there are growing calls to strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles. The New York Post is reporting that locals in the UK say enough is enough, especially after Prince Harry's disastrous BBC interview, which aired hours after he lost his appeal for taxpayer-funded UK.
I sensed a storm gathering the moment murmurs began weaving their way through the corridors of Westminster. At first, it seemed like background noise, another blip in the ongoing drama between Prince Harry and the monarchy. Just another twist in a feud that long ago spilled into the public domain. But then everything shifted. A petition surfaced, not some trending topic on social media, not the latest celebrity taking a stand, but an official motion raised within the House of Lords itself. A move launched from the core of Britain's political establishment. This time, it's not about gossip or optics. It's about dismantling what remains of Harry's formal link to the crown, his royal title. And if you're tempted to dismiss this as symbolic posturing, think again. This is about legacy. This is about the enduring grip of power. It's a question of whether someone who's scorched the earth behind him still deserves to carry the emblem of the very institution he turned his back on. We're far beyond family drama now. This has become a constitutional moment of truth. Now, the nation that once idolized him, the young boy who walked behind his mother's coffin, the soldier prince who served on the front lines in Afghanistan, is witnessing his unraveling, piece by piece. Not at the hands of palace courtiers or tabloid journalists this time, but by the very machinery of Parliament. What began as a dramatic royal exit has evolved into a full-fledged crisis of identity, of allegiance, of purpose. And the stakes? They've never been higher. Because if this petition succeeds, Harry won't just be giving up a ceremonial label. He'll be severing the final, fragile tie that binds him to the monarchy that shaped his life. So brace yourself. What lies ahead isn't some palace squabble or fleeting scandal. This is a moment where history is being rewritten, and it's turning ruthless. When I first came across it, I had to double-check, convinced it was another overblown tabloid spin. But no, it's real. The British House of Lords, arguably the cornerstone of royal tradition and the epitome of political gravitas, has initiated a formal petition to strip Prince Harry of his Duke of Sussex title. This isn't a social media firestorm or a populist outcry. It's a deliberate, institutional strike. And it's coming straight from the top. Conservative peers, seasoned crossbenchers. These aren't headline chasers or political lightweights. These are figures who don't just witness history, they carve it. What floored me was the sheer gravity of it all. This isn't a gesture. This isn't some theatrical stunt for the cameras. These are the very chambers that have handled royal upheavals for generations, and now they're turning their focus on Harry, as if he's become a renegade member of the monarchy. There's a sharpness to it, an almost cold precision. The atmosphere crackles with restrained fury, like a strategic chess piece being moved after years of quiet calculation. And here's where it really turns. Reports say Harry isn't just upset. He's incandescent. Not brushing it off, not playing it cool. He's reportedly furious. Because for all his efforts to distance himself from the firm, from the protocols, from the royal spotlight, there's been one thing he's held onto with a white-knuckled grip: his title. Duke of Sussex isn't just a name. It's currency. It opens doors in corporate circles, media empires, and Hollywood negotiations. Strip that title, and you cut away the last thread of royal legitimacy he still wears like armor. This isn't a mild rebuke. It's a declaration. The first, calculated strike in what could unravel Harry's entire royal identity. And watching Parliament mobilize like this, you get the sense that the establishment has made up its mind. The door to the monarchy may not just be closing. It's about to be slammed shut on the prince who walked away.
We'll see King Charles do this because he's not confrontational. I don't think that he likes the fact that he's been accused of racism towards his grandchildren in Omid Scobie's book. So I think he's going to continue to tiptoe around.
This isn't just a crusade led by one corner of Parliament. It's evolving into a full-scale national reckoning. The petition didn't just gather steam. It erupted, collecting tens of thousands of signatures from the public in a matter of days. People across the United Kingdom, from the rural heart of Sussex to the far reaches of Scotland, are lending their names to what no longer feels like outrage. It feels like momentum, a movement. And Parliament isn't sitting idly by. Lawmakers from both the House of Lords and the House of Commons are stepping into the fray, not merely offering support, but actively driving the effort forward. That's when it truly hit me. This is no longer symbolic. It's potent. It has bite. And more importantly, it has legal muscle. They're reaching back into the archives of constitutional law, invoking the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917, a statute last used during the chaos of World War I to strip royal titles from those who sided with Britain's enemies. Now, they're framing Harry's actions not as a literal act of treason, but as a betrayal that echoes dangerously close in spirit. The mood is shifting fast. There's a rising heat in the national discourse, a mounting frustration from a public that's grown tired of watching someone renounce royal duty while continuing to benefit from the power and prestige of the institution he walked away from. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. It's the start of something deeper, a methodical, legislative effort to sever Harry's final tether to aristocracy. What began as public discontent is being forged into political will. And when Parliament starts to move in lockstep with popular sentiment, history shows us one thing clearly: the outcome becomes inevitable. There's no reverse gear on this kind of reckoning.
But Kinsey, you recently interviewed a friend of the royal family, Hugo Vickers, who revealed the late Queen was so fearful of Harry and Meghan that she wouldn't want to be alone with them. Let's just take...
There is no trust when it comes to Prince Harry, and the picture he tries to paint with Queen Elizabeth, even saying during that BBC interview that the Queen wanted him to have this level of security, we're finding out the truth, and it's that she was bothered by them.
Now, this is where the narrative takes a hard turn. Prince Harry didn't just step away from royal life to find peace and privacy. He made noise. A lot of it, especially once he touched down on American soil. And this isn't about tell-all interviews or tabloid drama. It's about politics. The one thing British royals are expected, by tradition and constitutional duty, to avoid at all costs. Neutrality is the cornerstone of their role. But Harry? He's been breaking that code with remarkable boldness. He's criticized the First Amendment, aligned himself with overtly partisan organizations, and thrown his support behind causes that run counter to the values of the monarchy, the very institution that gave him his platform, his visibility, and his title. Now, lawmakers are giving this a name: title laundering. The idea that Harry is leveraging his royal status not as a symbol of service, but as a political tool, using the inherited weight of the crown to lend legitimacy to messaging on foreign soil. That's not just stepping outside the bounds of royal protocol, that's detonating it. And the reaction in Westminster reflects just how seriously this is being taken. Because this isn't about awkward headlines or unfortunate sound bites anymore. It's about the misuse of royal clout on a global stage. And make no mistake, this isn't just a matter of optics. It's a matter of principle, of constitutional integrity. And for those inside Parliament, that crosses a line that can't be ignored. That's not just a breach of decorum. It's a constitutional issue. Royals, by design, are meant to stay far away from the rough terrain of American election cycles and divisive cultural flashpoints. But here we are. Harry, still carrying the title of Duke of Sussex, is doing exactly that. Weighing in on controversial issues and political debates an ocean away from the monarchy he supposedly stepped back from. And this isn't just drawing quiet concern anymore. It's become vocal. British MPs are openly asking a pointed question. Why is a foreign duke engaging in US political discourse? It's not just unorthodox. It's destabilizing. Because once royal titles are used as ideological leverage on foreign soil, the very foundations of the monarchy's neutrality begin to erode. The crown has always derived its authority from a careful balance, being above politics, both domestic and international. When that line is crossed, even unintentionally, it invites scrutiny not just of the individual, but of the system itself. Harry may have seen his actions as personal expression, as speaking freely from his new home. But to Parliament, it sounded like a flare fired across centuries-old tradition. And now, they're responding, not with a tabloid rebuttal, but with legislation, with historical precedent, and with unmistakable resolve. The message is clear. If you carry a royal title, you carry the responsibility that comes with it. And if you break that covenant, there are consequences.
Major breaking news out of London. Buckingham Palace announcing Harry and Meghan will no longer formally represent the Queen. That means they will no longer receive public funds and they will stop using their royal titles. Those changes will take effect this spring. So Katie Nicholl is now joining.
It's my pleasure. It's a big news story. As you can imagine over here, it really has, the phone hasn't stopped ringing, put it that way.
And in terms of your initial reaction to this latest news, that in fact it feels like it's a full removal in the sense of not just senior royal duties, but...
If there's one constant running through Harry's post-royal chapter, it's his relentless fixation on dismantling the monarchy. From the explosive Oprah interview to the tell-all Netflix docuseries, and finally Spare, his deeply personal memoir. It's as if he's built an entire second act around exposing the royal family's most intimate wounds. And initially, people were intrigued. They leaned in, wanting to hear his side. But that curiosity is starting to sour. Even among his early defenders, there's a growing sense of unease. Because Harry hasn't just taken aim at the institution, he's aimed at everyone in it. His father, his brother, his stepmother, even the late Queen, revered by many as the monarchy's moral anchor. This isn't healing. It's annihilation. A scorched earth approach dressed up as catharsis. And now, Parliament is giving voice to what many have been whispering for years. You can't burn the house down and still expect to keep the keys. It's become increasingly obvious that Harry's royal title functions not as a legacy, but as a shield, something that grants him prestige and power, while he launches broadsides from the safety of Montecito. But that shield is wearing thin. His public denunciations have reached a breaking point, pushing him into territory that some MPs now describe as symbolic treason. Not criminal, but profoundly offensive to the institution his title represents. For years, the monarchy remained silent, choosing dignity over rebuttal. But this new move from Parliament marks a turning point. It's not just about discipline, it's about drawing a line. This is the establishment finally answering back, in the only language it knows best: law, precedent, and the weight of the crown itself.
A progressive new role within the royal family. While the royal family does modernise, I mean, the Queen sends tweets, it is an age-old institution, and I think that idea of tradition and everything we expect of the monarchy doesn't quite sit well with that idea of...
For the monarchy, means for the monarchy.
Well, people are talking about it being a constitutional crisis, and I'm not sure it is a constitutional crisis. I mean, through circumstance and the Cambridges having 3 children, Harry slipped down from being the spare to the heir to the 6th in...
Let's be honest, Harry's standing in the UK has hit rock bottom. The most recent polling shows that 62% of Brits support stripping him of his title. And when you narrow it down to Conservative and older voters, that figure climbs past 70%. Even among Labour supporters, those who might typically lean toward empathy or give him the benefit of the doubt, there's growing consensus that he's pushed things too far. Then there's the grassroots response, which may be the most telling of all. People in Sussex, his own dukedom, are signing the petition in droves. One pensioner summed it up with quiet finality. He doesn't represent us anymore. He represents himself. That line stuck with me because it captures the essence of the mood. Yes, Harry may still be a star in the US, a fixture on red carpets and talk shows. But in the UK, his credibility is in freefall. And not because he left royal life. Plenty respected his decision to step away. The real betrayal, in the eyes of many, is that he left and continued to cash in on the very identity he publicly condemned. You can't have it both ways forever. And now, even his most sympathetic audiences are turning away. Public opinion hasn't just soured, it's crumbled. This isn't about one interview or a single scandal. It's the result of years of building resentment. Stacked headline after headline, confession after confession, all while still bearing the royal crest. The message from the British public is unmistakable. You walked away. You tore us down. And now we're through. Parliament isn't acting in a vacuum. They're channeling the will of a nation that's already made up its mind. This isn't a political stunt. It's a response to a sentiment that's echoing from the polls to the pavements.
There has been a crisis in the Windsors, not least how the Sussexes chose to release this news, but also the narrative that we've had in the fallout, that the couple were very unhappy, that apparently it was a very toxic environment, particularly for Meghan.
Brothers surrounding Prince Harry and Prince William, and what this change in senior roles for Harry and Meghan means for that particular relationship.
This is where the situation takes a darker turn. Harry and Meghan didn't simply step back from royal duties. They turned their exit into a business model. And they didn't do it quietly. Every major deal they've inked, Netflix, Spotify, publishing contracts, even children's books, has been steeped in royal branding. These aren't projects marketed under Harry and Meghan, private citizens. They're fronted by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, emblazoned across promotional materials, press releases, opening credits, and podcast intros. That's not an accidental oversight. It's calculated. It's branding with a purpose. And the British public? They're not buying it anymore. There's growing backlash, not just from political circles or tabloid pundits, but from everyday citizens who see through the glossy PR. The criticism has taken on a sharp new term, title trafficking. It's the idea that they're leveraging the gravitas of inherited titles not for public service, but for profit, for exposure, for influence, and for building a global media presence, all while insisting they've moved on from royal life, that it's not just seen as disingenuous. It's seen as exploitative, because it blurs the line between monarchy and market, tradition and transaction. And for many in the UK, that crosses a line. You can't denounce the institution while still using its symbols to build a personal empire. Pretending to live as ordinary citizens while cashing in on the power of royal identity has become, in the eyes of many, the ultimate contradiction. And that contradiction is no longer being tolerated. Even their children have been drawn into the branding machine, styled with royal titles that reinforce the very institution their parents claim to have distanced themselves from. And yet, the couple continues to preach privacy, stepping back from the spotlight, wanting a simpler life. The contradiction isn't subtle, it's deafening, and people are taking notice. This wasn't a quiet departure. It was a calculated pivot, a business maneuver dressed up as a personal choice. And now, Parliament is stepping in to deliver a pointed message. If you want the wealth, the recognition, and the global platform, then let go of the royal facade. Because in the UK, titles aren't for sale. They're not branding tools. They carry weight. They carry history. And what Harry has done, in the eyes of many, is reduce his to a marketing slogan that it's not just disappointing. It's a slap in the face to the institution that gave him that title in the first place. A legacy reimagined as leverage. And that's not just embarrassing. It's offensive to the very core of what the crown is supposed to represent. Now, this is where the situation becomes quietly strategic. As Parliament turns up the heat, Buckingham Palace remains conspicuously silent. King Charles isn't defending his son, but he's not condemning him either. He's standing back, allowing the process to play out, letting the machinery of government do what it must. And according to insiders, he's fully aware of the petition. He's watching every move. But make no mistake, this silence isn't indecision. It's a carefully measured choice. Charles doesn't want this to be seen as a father reprimanding his son. He wants it to be understood as the institution, not the individual, delivering the verdict that it's all about optics. Let Parliament make the move, and the monarchy stays above the fray, untainted by the personal dynamics of a fractured family. As for Prince William, reports suggest he's already moved on. No protests, no behind-the-scenes pleas, no drama. He's done. The divide isn't just public, it's deeply personal. And now, it's playing out on a national stage. Behind the scenes, he's quietly supporting this petition. For him, the title isn't merely a label, it's a powerful symbol. And Harry using it abroad is damaging everything the monarchy represents. This has moved beyond personal ties. Now, it's about safeguarding the crown's brand. The palace's silence speaks volumes, louder than any official statement. Picture this. Harry shows up at a gala or charity event, and instead of His Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex, he's introduced simply as Mr. Harry Windsor. That's more than a title change. That's a collapse of the brand. If Parliament wins, Harry loses every royal connection. The formal introductions, the prestige, the quiet influence in every room. All gone. What remains? A man better known for his Netflix series than his military service. Meghan's business ventures, Harry's memoirs, their production deals, all built on the illusion of royalty. Take that away, and they're just two celebrities selling a narrative of victimhood. Not duty, not legacy, just entertainment. Hollywood is ruthless. Without that royal glow, their appeal could fade fast. And Parliament understands this. This isn't just about respect, it's about cutting off the source. The one thing that gives Harry global influence is that title. And Parliament is determined to take it away using every legal means at their disposal. This isn't new ground. Back in 1917, during World War I, King George V invoked the Titles Deprivation Act to remove titles from royals who sided with enemy nations. If they could strip dukes of their titles then for disloyalty, they can do it now. More recently, Prince Andrew faced a similar fate, losing military titles and patronages after the Epstein scandal. No one is above the crown. The reasoning is clear. If Harry's actions don't align with the crown's values, he forfeits the right to hold its titles. Parliamentarians are making it clear. He's not with them, he's against them. And their question is valid. How can someone undermine the monarchy, profit from its titles, and still be allowed to keep them? History backs Parliament's authority to complete what the monarchy began. This is where everything falls apart. It's not just exile. It's a precise, deliberate removal of every link tying Harry to the royal institution. Public support? It's all but disappeared. The legal groundwork is already set. Parliament is taking action, and the royal family isn't standing in the way. They're letting the institution do the talking. Harry's shift from the People's Prince to a Netflix star is nearly complete. But if this petition passes, even that legacy will slip through his fingers. He'll become just another celebrity with a famous surname and a trail of controversies. But what's striking about all this is how it ends. Not with drama or spectacle, but with paperwork, legal motions, parliamentary votes, quiet discussions in centuries-old chambers heavy with history. Once that title disappears, so do the mystique, the privilege, and the illusion. Prince Harry may soon face a hard truth. When you step away from the crown, you don't get to keep its treasures. So here we are. After all the interviews, the memoir, the documentaries, the public outbursts, the podcasts, the lawsuits, after all the noise, it might all come down to this. A centuries-old institution is quietly closing the final door on Prince Harry. And, in a way, it's almost poetic. He didn't just walk away from the royal family. He burned the bridge, and then tried to profit from the ashes. Now, the very system he ridiculed, the traditions he dismissed, and the country he abandoned are pushing back with what truly wounds him: legitimacy. Stripped of his title, what remains? Not the heroic prince, not the decorated soldier. Just Harry, an outsider, a brand without a crown. Over the past few years, he's tried to reinvent himself as a global voice, a truth teller, a wounded soul. But in doing so, he may have become something far worse, irrelevant. This petition isn't mere paperwork. It's a verdict, not only from Parliament, but from the very people he once claimed to represent. And now, they're speaking out, loud and clear. They're saying, "You don't represent us anymore." For perhaps the first time in this entire saga, Harry won't have the last word. As the House of Lords prepares to strike and the royal family stays silently complicit, one thing becomes painfully obvious. The fairy tale is over. What follows won't be written in royal ink. It will be etched in exile. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, because if this title falls, the entire House of Cards could collapse with it.